Hey there, this is Vlad from Ausgeknipst, and in this quick video tutorial I'm going to show you everything you need to know to use your Minolta XM motor. The XM motor, also called the XK in some markets, is a pro-grade SLR from the 70s made by Minolta to compete against the more popular Canon F and Nikon F line Pro series cameras. You can see that it's a very sturdy camera with interchangeable viewfinders, lenses, and a specialty of this camera is also the integrated motor that you cannot remove like with other SLRs. It was way ahead of its time and it was way too expensive when it was being sold, reaching prices compared to those we nowadays would pay for a medium format DSLR. That's why there were only, I think, 5,000 units sold, and it's pretty rare. But nevertheless, if you own one of those or bought one of those and want to know what all the buttons and dials are, this video is for you. So in the video, I'm going to show you first what batteries the camera uses and how to insert them, what lenses you can use with the camera and how to change the lenses, how all the buttons and dials function, how to load film properly in the back of the camera, how to look through the viewfinder in order to compose your image, set correct exposure and focus, how to take a photo, and finally how to rewind and unload your film. Let's start with the batteries first. This camera has two separate battery compartments. One is located here on the right side, which is the battery for the light meter, and we have a big battery compartment at the bottom which is removable for powering of the motor winder. As you can detach this battery block at the bottom, the camera will still work as it's a mechanical camera and you only need those smaller batteries on the side here for the light meter. You will or will not have the light meter depending on the prism you have. I have one with a integrated light meter. I think it's the AE-S. And to remove or change the batteries, you need to unscrew this little cap on the side here. And a good thing is that the XM motor uses standard 1.5 volts SR44 or LR44 batteries that you can buy in any supermarket, like those ones. The manual explicitly states that you shouldn't use PX625 mercury batteries, which were common at this time. This is very good because those SR44 batteries are widely available and cheap. So just insert them, plus side goes inside the camera body, you need two of those. Screw the cap back on and you also have a battery indicator for this battery compartment here. Just flip the little switch and the LED light should turn on. Yeah, so this will tell me that the battery is powering the internal light meter and the prism. Now, when it comes to the motor winder battery, it becomes a little more complicated. You can access the battery compartment by those two battery clips on the sides. As you may or may not know if you already have one of those cameras, those battery clips are prone to break. And there are lots and lots of those cameras with broken battery clips on the market. This one's still fine as the camera hasn't been used a lot. But if you have one with broken battery clips, we offer a replacement. This is how it looks. We made them ourselves and made them sturdier, so now you can replace the battery clips, and you will need basic AA batteries or rechargeables, 10, 5 on each side to power the motor. It's also pretty cool because those are also cheap and widely available. Just insert them. There are plus and minus signs inside the compartment. Close it. And cool thing is, with our clip, we also added a guide so that you can't insert it the wrong way. And there's also a second battery indicator on the side here, which is specifically for the motor battery here. So press this little button here, and if the batteries are charged and the motor makes contact, the little needle indicator should go to the green area. As I'm using rechargeables, it's on the lower end. If I would use 1.5 volt alkalines, it would be a little higher, but it still works with rechargeables, which is pretty cool. So when it comes to lenses, the XM motor uses SR mount lenses, similar to those you would use on a standard SRT 101 or 303. You can see those cameras look pretty similar and they use similar lenses. One thing to notice about lenses is that it already has a Auto-Rokkor coupling. Let me show you what this is. There is a little lever located here, which is integrated inside all the viewfinders that have exposure metering inside. And this little coupling lever is engaging into a ridge on the lens, and this basically tells the camera what aperture I've set on the lens. So what is important, that if you take off the viewfinder to change it or to clean it, to do so you have to press this little button here, silver one, take it off to the top. You have some electronic communications here which you might need to clean if it doesn't make proper contact. Now what you need to know is, before reattaching the viewfinder, you will need to set back the coupling lever for the aperture controls back to its original position where the red dot is. Otherwise you might damage it and the communication for aperture controls will stop functioning. So this is really important. Set this lever to the red dot and then you can reattach the viewfinder. Just press it on, and then after I've attached it, this lever should snap back to the side. It's spring loaded. Now I can reattach the lens. Red dot aligns with the red dot on the camera body. Then twist it clockwise, and now if everything's working well, the little ridge should engage with the little lever here. Okay, that's for lenses. You could also use step-down metering if you have a lens without the Auto-Rokkor aperture controls. Then you would need to press this button here, and then if I step down the lens and unpress the button, lens is closing down, and then I have step-down metering. Problem is that the viewfinder will go dark if I meter that way. So always better to use Auto-Rokkor lenses with this camera. Now let me show you the rest of the controls. Let's start from the left here, and then we go all the way around and to the top. Which you need to notice is that there is a little button inside the grip which will activate the light meter. If the light meter is set to the little red dot in the center here, you can also turn off the light meter by setting it to off. If it's in this position, in the center position with the solid red dot, then the light meter will be activated by pressing this little lever here. It won't activate if you half press the shutter like with more modern cameras. Now if you want to let it on all the time without the need of pressing this little button. You can also set it to the farmost left position with the solid circle and the circle outside of the circle. This position, now meter is always on. I'll set it here, which will conserve battery life. Now going around, here we have the aperture step down as I showed you. We have the flash mode dial, FP for old tungsten flashes and X for all the usual hot shoe flashes, more modern flashes with single contacts. We have a PC sync here. If you're interested in, if you have lost the cap, please leave me a comment and maybe we'll produce those and sell them. Then we have the lens mount detachment like this. What we have here is a pretty weird button, and I really don't know why they used such a weird design. This is a slow to fast shutter speed switch, which means that the viewfinder will only show faster shutter speeds, and if you need to show it slower shutter speeds, you will have to press this button, and you can also lock it like this, and the scale doesn't show all the shutter speeds in the viewfinder, but you will have to switch it like this. Just something you need to know. We have the battery compartment from the light meter here, the battery indicator. Then on top we have the multi-purpose shoe where you can attach a hot shoe via this little extra accessory similar to the Nikon F and Canon F Pro cameras. Attach it like this and you have the hot shoe here. If you want to remove it, press this little silver button here. If you're missing this, we probably will also sell those in our shop soon. So then we have the standard rewind. That's the detachable metering prism. This is the AE-S, which means it's a prism with integrated light meter. On-off switch for the light meter here. We have a shutter. We have a viewfinder curtain for long exposures. On top we have the ASA dial to set the ASA or ISO as we call it in Europe. Press the silver button here and rotate the button. You can also compensate inside the viewfinder if you turn the little inward dial here. You can set it to -0.5 up to, or -2.5 up to +0.5. This is used if you use special matte screens that take away more light than the standard matte screen, and you want to compensate for that here. Then we also have this standard compensation for difficult lighting conditions. For example, if the sun's coming from the front, then you can pull up this little lever here and set it to +2 or -2. We have the shutter speed dial with a fast 1/2000 of a second down to a slow 1 second, and bulb mode. In the bulb mode you have access to even slower shutter speeds from 2 to up to 16 seconds. To choose those you will need to press this little silver lever here underneath the shutter speed dial and set it to the position. Let me show you. Now it's set to 4 seconds, which is pretty cool. Set it back to bulb again. We have the mechanical advance, and the camera will work without the motor, so you can use it with the mechanical advance, or you can use it with the motor. It has two separate shutter buttons. This is the shutter button for the mechanical advance, and this one is the shutter button for the motor advance, or the motor shutter button. Thing is, this will only work if there's film inside the camera. We have the film counter here with a magnification glass. And now let's go to the back of the camera. We have a motor rewind here, which I wouldn't use because you can also just rewind the film manually. To do so, you have the standard unlock here, which would normally be located at the bottom of the camera, like with this SRT. This button is this one on the XM, and then you can pull up the rewind button and rewind your film. Like this. If you want to use the motor rewind, you still unlock the rewind and pull this lever, and to reset it, open the film back by pulling up the rewind lever. We have an attachment for a strap here. That's the strap. And here on the side, it's a port for a 10-meter special super long film bag, which I haven't seen, but I know that this is the port. You basically don't have to open it if you don't have this special accessory. And we have the tripod screw here, and you can remove the motor by unwinding it here. I will use the camera for demo purposes without the motor, so I'll remove it. So I removed the battery pack, so you can't remove the motor, as I told you. That's the battery pack. And yeah, if you would use the motor, you can choose the how fast the motor advances from 1 FPS up to 3 FPS, and high would be 3.5 FPS fastest setting, or just single shots, setting it to S. This little button here is a mirror unlock. Sometimes the mirror will lock, for example, if you've ran out of batteries for the internal light meter, and if the mirror is locked up, you can unlock it by this mechanical mirror release. That's it. So now let's load some film, or let's first, it's always good to inspect the light seals before we insert some film. As with most of the SLRs of this time, light seals will probably need to be replaced at some point. You have a mirror damper inside here, which is still looking good at my camera, because there's no foam here. Basically, it's just spring load. So this looks fine. But I know that in the back, seals look pretty bad and will need to be replaced at some point. As you can see here, the foam is pretty deteriorated, and there's a lot of seals here, bottom, top, hinge, and grooves on the back of the body, top and bottom. So camera probably needs new seals. Now let's get some film. That's a Fomapan 400 ISO 24 exposures film. So before we insert the film, let's set the ISO up top here. Press the silver button, set it to 400, tells the light meter inside how sensitive the film is to light. Open the back door, insert the film. Like that. Pull it over the shutter curtain and fiddle the little film leader inside the take-up spool like this. Now release the shutter, advance the film a couple of times to make sure that film is properly loaded. Now I already see that it slipped out, so I'll need to do it again. Let me try it again. There's a little arrow that shows you where the film should go. This process can be a little fiddly, and I can help it a little by pressing the film along with my right thumb. Now I see that it's properly spooled on the take-up spool, and I can close the door and shoot away like this. Film counter is working fine, and we are ready to go. Now, last thing that we need to understand is how the viewfinder works. Let me show you how it looks inside. Zoom in a little on the viewfinder. So that's the viewfinder. And as we can see, there are some mirrors inside the prism that show you on top what aperture I have set. On the right we see the shutter speeds. Top right, now I've set it to auto mode, and now let me turn on the light meter, and as you can see it shows me underexposure right now because I'm at f16. Now if I rotate the aperture dial, you can see that the camera's working in aperture priority mode, which means I'm setting the aperture and the camera is giving me a appropriate shutter speed in return. I could also use the camera in manual mode, so I can switch it to any shutter speed and ignore the light meter reading. For example, if I use an external light meter, and shoot it in the manual shutter speed. And yeah, that's basically it. And last thing I want to show you is if the camera is showing the little S sign, this means that the shutter speeds scale is below 130, and then I need to push this little button on the left of my metering prism, and now it shows me the slower shutter speeds as well. Last thing we need to understand is how to focus. Basic split screen focusing here. If I rotate the focusing ring on the lens, you see that the little circle inside is split in half. Now, best thing to do when using such a prism is focus on some line, like I'm doing it right now. Turn the dial until the line becomes one straight vertical line, and now I know that this slit in the wall is in focus. That's basically it for the viewfinder, and now the last thing that's left is to rewind the film. To do so, you could use the motor by unlocking and pulling this little lever, or as I will do it because this rewind motor can jam sometimes, so I would advise against using it. I just rewind the film manually by turning the little rewind lever until I hear that the film has slipped out of the takeout spool and there's no resistance left. Like this. Now I can pull it out and drop it off at my favorite lab or develop it at home. That's it for the XM. A really well built and sturdy camera, but pretty pricey and probably something for collectors. If you have problems with your XM motor, or if I missed something, please leave a comment in the comment section below. if you need some of those battery clips for the battery pack. I'll leave the link for our shop in the description below, and thanks for watching.